brave citizens of Toronto are peaceful and well-mannered occupiers, and we will not let the city or the mayor that uses vulgar language in public get involved. And thus, Hacking Collective Anonymous threatens to remove Toronto from the internet if the city tries to evict the Occupy Toronto movement from St. James Park. JD Speedy, staff writer, Computer World Canada. Is this a credible threat?
To be honest, I really don't think it is. I don't think it rankles of anonymous because it seems a little bit too specific on who they're targeting. Like, they're going after Toronto when there have been allegations of, abuse of protesters and forcibly removing people all across the Occupy movement. And now they're really, really specific to Toronto. And the fact that it's so malleable, like, anyone can claim to be anonymous. I can put up a video tomorrow on YouTube that says, I don't like IT World Canada. Don't do that, by the way. Don't take down IT World Canada. But I could say that, and then I can call myself anonymous and slap that little, voiceover on there. Like, what makes it them? What makes it credible that it's actually a threat?
This is true. I just happened to get off the phone with Neil Quinn, who's the VP of Ops and Security for Prolexic. They handle distributed denial of service attacks, which is apparently what they would be talking about here. And his point is, to that point, that anybody can fly the flag. It's all a question of gathering enough participation. Anonymous has become more and more politically focused lately. It used to be just for the lulz. But now they've had some success several times against the government of Australia, which is a large entity, government of Malaysia, and many other. And they have a large volunteer botnet to draw on.
But they've also made threats against the Toronto Stock Exchange, for instance, about a month ago, which didn't amount to anything. They made threats. They made threats against Facebook as well, and that didn't go down. Like, it just seems like you can fly the flag just to try and get people to stop doing what they're doing because you can threaten this, we're going to bring Toronto off the internet.
The Facebook attack actually isn't widely considered to have been genuinely anonymous. However, that is, like you said, a difficult thing to pin your finger on. That seems to be related to a previous failed operation. It's using the same communication channels. Again, the point that you or I could be anonymous, as long as we're operating in anonymity. The Occupy protests are pretty high profile.
Yeah.
And part of the challenge for Anonymous to mount these attacks is to get the level of participation. Very specific comment about the mayor who uses vulgar language, which suggests to me that there's a local component to this.
And I suppose that doesn't mean that it can't be anonymous, because I'm sure there are Toronto members of Anonymous, if anybody can be considered a member of Anonymous. But the question is it actually a large threat? Is this enough people, enough assemblage that they can actually threaten to bring down Toronto? Which also, little sidebar, they want to bring down Toronto. What does that even mean? Take Toronto off the internet. What does that mean? Are they going to take the Toronto.com homepage off? Because I don't know that many people that are going to really miss that. Like, that doesn't seem like a credible threat, even if they could bring it down, to actually, strike fear into before its heart.
Well, there are also the tactics often used before of exfiltration of data, meaning doing email dumps with from cracked accounts and website defacement. And yeah, on the one hand, a defaced website to me isn't really that much of a threat. On the other hand, I don't know if the city of Toronto could defend its web presence defend its online presence to the extent that the Toronto Stock Exchange could. The Toronto Stock Exchange, dealing in much tighter security, transaction-based, it would require a much larger volunteer army to take that down.
But I still think it rankles me as a little bit hollow, just because of the fact that there were reports of cops beating protesters in California, from part of the Occupy movement. They forcibly moved people out of London, Ontario. They forcibly moved people out of Ottawa, out of Halifax. There were, allegations of beating protesters in Berkeley and in Oakland, and yet this is what they're upset about: is people might get kicked out of St. James Park. I don't understand why. I don't understand why the collective anonymous would be interested in this one target. Which it just seems bizarre. And like you said, it's so insanely focused that they actually mention Ford's comments, his using vulgar language against 911. Why would they bother making that a priority?
Well, we're running out of time. This time, for a change, we actually have some kind of metric to determine who wins this argument. So we'll see who's right in a couple days. Thanks a lot.